Hello and welcome to Wheels of the Past. We collect antique, vintage, and classic bicycles from the 1890s through the 1980s. I'll take you on a little tour of our museum. This bicycle here is an 1898 Stearns chainless or shaft drive. It has no chain. It's propelled through a drive shaft that runs through the frame from the gears in the front to a gear at the rear axle. It has wooden rims, wooden handlebars. The headlight that's on it is a carbide light that works by putting carbide pellets in the bottom tank. Water goes into the tank on the back of the light. The water drips onto the carbide pellets, creating a gas. The gas flows up into the light chamber, and you light that and you have a light. This bike here is a 1905 Ridgeland. It also has wooden rims but steel handlebars. The light that's on this is a kerosene lamp. It's very similar to a kerosene lantern that you'd use for camping today. Here we have an 1896 Columbia Model 43 tandem bicycle. This is a double man's. It steers from both front and rear. Possibly was used as a pacing bicycle for bicycle racers for practice. A more typical condition is a woman's in the front and man's in the rear, in which the man could ride over to his lady friend's house, steering from the rear, pick his lady friend up. They could both ride off on their date. Now this is not exactly a bicycle, but it is an antique lawnmower. This model in this shape was built between 1895 and 1910. They came in widths of 6 inches to 48 inches. This is an 8-inch wide one. Anything wider than 12 inches required 2 people to operate it, one to push it and one to pull it. Next to this is a 1913 approximately bicycle. It appears to be something that would have been used in Europe. Over here we have 2 bicycles that are both from the late 1940s, shortly after World War II. They're very typical of the type of bicycles that were made in Japan and sold in the US and other places. Europe as well. The black one is a Miata, the green one is an M&H Special. Here we have a 1980 Bone Shaker. This is a rather low quality reproduction of a high wheel bicycle that would have been ridden in the 1880s. Next to this we have the blue bicycle. We don't know the name of it. It's a 24-inch girls bike from the late 20s. It's been restored. It's very typical of the type of bicycle the girls would have ridden in those days. On the back fender, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but on the back fender there are slots that netting goes through, and that netting is to keep the girls' skirts from getting caught in the rear wheel spokes. The red bicycle here is a boy's 1929, or at least late 20s, approximately 29, Greyhound. It's restored, and it's very typical of the bicycles of the day. Besides that is another late 20s bicycle. This is an American Flyer. It's a barn find. It's been sitting for at least 40 years that I know of. This looks very much like the Greyhound looked before it was restored. Here we have an early 1930s American Flyer, a girl's bike. This also has the notches in the rear fender for the dress guard for the ladies. A fairly typical bike of its day. Beside this, we have a 1945 Columbia Compax Traveler. This is a folding bicycle. They were originally designed for paratroopers in World War II. However, after the war ended, there were some left over, and they were sold for civilian use, and they were sold through 1949. This is a 1984 Wheelman, just kind of an unusual bicycle of its day. Now we've got a few kids' bikes up here. This one here is your typical sidewalk bicycle for kids in the late 1940s. Hard tires. We don't know what brand this one is. Over here we have this yellow bicycle with the S-shaped frame. We don't know the brand name of this. I have seen 2 others of this, both in the last year. Neither one of them had a nameplate that could be completely read, so we don't know what brand this is. One of them did have enough of the nameplate left to say that it was made in California. It's a belt drive. There's another kid's bicycle. This is a 1955, or give or take a year or two. went. It appears to be something that would have been ridden in Europe with a steel linkage instead of a cable for the front wheel brake, and no rear wheel brake, only front wheel. Up here we just have an old crash helmet from motorcycle days and a number of gumball and candy machines. Let's go in the other room and we'll take a look at some of the other bicycles we have. This is mostly kids' bikes in this room. Here we have a 1940s Mercury tricycle. This is chain drive. It is not pedals on the front wheel like most tricycles are, and it's all original. Next to that, the pink bicycle here is a rather aerodynamic bicycle. It's a reproduction of a 1936 Sky King Princess. Next to that is a 1940s Irish Mail. This is restored. You steer with your feet on the front wheels and you propel it by moving your hands sideways on the handlebars, which are connected then by linkage to the rear wheel that make it go forward. This bike up here, which is not very easy to see because of the lighting situation here, but this is a 1920s Colson silver ring. You notice that the handlebars are turned upside down on it, which is pretty typical of the day where the kids rode. Over here we have just our research library and some other things. Down here we have a 1930s Chief Scooting Star scooter, very streamlined. Over here we have a 1946 to 1953 Trico scooter. These were made in Southern California. The front wheels steer by using that stick that sticks up. They also cause the rear wheels to turn, so all the wheels turn when you ride this. We'll go into the last room and we'll see the balloon tire bicycles and some other newer style bicycles. This is a 1948 Montgomery Ward's Hawthorne bicycle. This is the first bike in the collection. It was not restored at that time. I just fixed it up. Moving down here a little bit, I'll try to get a little bit better view here. We have a 1949 Monarch Super Deluxe. This is the bike all kids wanted back in the day, with the tank, the electric lights, the spring forks, and this is all original condition. It was found in pieces and I put them back together, but they're all the same pieces that came with it new. Here we have a road puppy. This is from 1945. It was approximately 1945. It's a folding bicycle made in Japan. This is a fairly early one of it, I believe, because the tires are smaller than this one on the other ones that I've seen, and the serial number is quite low on this one. Next to that, we have a Goodyear bicycle from the 1950s. Pretty much typical bicycle of its day. And beside that, we have this nice girls' Rolls Fast bicycle with a headlight. All original condition. Very nice bicycle. Here we have a 1960s Murray. This is a middleweight bicycle. It does not have balloon tires like the other ones do. They're a lighter weight bicycle. Back here in the corner, we have a 1940s tricycle. This also is a chain drive tricycle like the other one that we saw, as opposed to having pedals on the front wheels. Up here on this display stand, we have a 1950s Monarch Silver King. This is an aluminum bicycle, all aluminum frame. And you'll notice it's very, very long. This is one of the later, towards the later end of the Monarch Silver Kings, as this one has the conventional chain as opposed to the skip tooth chain. Over on this side, we have a couple of 10-speeds. We have a 1974 Sankey, which is the red one, and we have a 1975 Murray, which is the orange one. Next to those, we have a couple of 3-speed bicycles. The kind of gray one is a 1970s Raleigh, and the black and white one with the chrome fenders is a 1960s Kino. Here we have a 1964 Schwinn cycle truck. Cycle trucks were made between 1939 and 1967. This one was from Detroit. They have a large rear wheel, small front wheel, a very, very heavy duty. This one has the smaller basket of the two that were available. The other one wrapped around the front back towards the rider's knees. And up here on this display stand, we have a 1945 Dayton. This is a middleweight bicycle. It has no chrome, as chrome was very difficult to get right at the very end of the war, World War II. And so all of the crank mechanisms, the sprocket, the handlebars were all painted black, seat posts painted black, and the wheels were painted white. No chrome whatsoever on this bike. So that concludes our tour of Wheels of the Past. I hope you enjoyed it. Also stop by our website at wheelsofthepast.org. You can learn more about the collection, see other pictures and more detailed pictures of some of the bicycles, as well as learn the history of the bicycle collection and somewhat of the history of the bicycle. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it.